Welcome back everyone to my channel Tendering and Project Management. My name is Rajiv and I am discussing in this channel about the different aspects and different topics of tendering and project management related things. Today's topic is procurement terminologies. Let us start the video by understanding the content list, which is what is an ITB, IFB, RFP, RFQ, and RFI, and what are the differences between RFQ, RFP, and RFI? We are going to discuss these procurement terminologies in detail. We will understand, we will discuss the different aspects, and then we will mainly focus on all of these terminologies, as these are one of the important things in terms of the procurement. So let's start the video. तो आज का ये जो पर्टिकुलर वीडियो है, इसमें फर्स्ट टॉपिक विल बी व्हाट इज एन आईटीबी और आईटीटी. देखिए, an invitation to bid is called ITB, or an invitation to the tender is called ITT. So what is the meaning? It means an offer by a vendor or contractor to sell a product or service for a specific price based on a certain specification and scope of the purchaser. So, information to the bid or information to the tender होता है. This is particularly an advertisement, or we can say a call for a proposal, जो कोई भी एंटिटी या क्लाइंट होते हैं, उनका जब कोई स्पेसिफिक रिक्वायरमेंट रहता है, मे बी इट इज रिलेटेड टू दी सर्विसेज और सप्लाईज, तो उनको जब कोई पर्टिकुलर प्रोडक्ट या लिस्ट ऑफ प्रोडक्ट्स चाहिए होता है या लिस्ट ऑफ सर्विसेज चाहिए होता है, तो उस टाइम पे दे विल कॉल फॉर एन आईटीटी और आईटीबी, और इन फॉर्म्स ऑफ like an advertisement through maybe social media or website. That is the overall concept of ITB or ITT. Next topic will be what is an IFB. So IFB is nothing but an invitation for the bid. An invitation for the bid will describe the planned project in detail, layout, submission requirements including deadlines, project scope and duration. Plus, additionally, minimum qualifications and mandatory standards and required warranties will also be defined. So, इसमें IFB जो है, this is a bit different but more or less similar to an ITB. IFB में information for bid practically एक प्रिसाइज डॉक्यूमेंट होता है, जहां पे एक समराइज्ड वर्जन दिया रहता है, जहां पे इट इज ऑल्सो अ पार्ट ऑफ प्रोक्योरमेंट, एंड मे बी द एंटिटी ऑफ द क्लाइंट विल declare or call for an invitation for the bid to few selected vendors or service providers, or to the vendors or service providers on an open forum, where they are asking for vendors and service providers who are going to be qualified to come forward and submit their proposal. इसमें specifically थोड़ा सा brief रहता है about the project, the basic details, about the requirements, specifically like the project's deadline, scope and duration, which are the major three parameters, and about the mandatory qualifications, maybe the past performance also, and then they will also define a certain standards, like for the construction, or let's say for the manufacturing sector, it might be Indian standard, British standard, American standard, Russian standard, or so on, as example. And then they will call for a certain warranty. of the work or services. So this is the definition of an IFP. So next we will go to the next slide, which is saying what is an RFQ. So an RFQ is nothing but a request for quote, and this is a document used by a business or maybe a client to ask another company. So basically RFQs are between B2B segment and for the price of the product or service. An RFQ contains specific information about the product or service a business is looking to purchase. So इसमें क्या होता है, practically RFQ or request for quotation is different from IFB, ITB and the tendering processes practically, and but it is one of the important procurement processes, but जहाँ पे request for quotation will be having a limited information available. There might be some specifications, some drawings, some standards, some designs will be given by the client or the purchasing entity or purchasing business, and they will probably contact 1, 2, 5 or 10 businesses who are the vendors, or they think they are qualified vendors, and then they will share their inquiries to specific qualified vendors or services, and then they will ask them to give the quotation with standard terms and conditions sheet. That is the overall concept. But here RFQ lately is being called through procurement processes, and it was earlier like used mainly to receive the quotations for the products. Slowly it is entering in the services sector too. Next point or next slide, let us go ahead. So what is an RFP? So what is an RFP means, the RFP term or terminology in the procurement defines as a request for proposal, which is a document used by a business to ask another company for more details about a product or service. तो RFP जो है particularly request for proposal, ये RFQ से थोड़ा सा different है. RFQ already the client, in case of an RFQ, client को वो requirements पता रहता है, उनको पता है कि क्या product या क्या services हमें चाहिए. Whereas RFP में they are not sure about, they might have some thinking in their mind कि हाँ ये शायद हो सकता है, बट अल्टीमेट कितना लेवल तक वो डेवलप हो सकता है या फिर उसका क्या कॉस्ट होगा वो probably client को पता नहीं रहता है. So they are going to ask, it might be a business, it might be a client, they are going to ask a specific set of contractors or vendors to give a detailed proposal कि आप प्राइस दीजिए, आप प्राइस के साथ साथ स्टैंडर्ड स्पेसिफिकेशंस दीजिए, एक प्लान दीजिए कितना टाइम लगेगा इंप्लीमेंट करने में पर्टिकुलर प्रपोजल अगर स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड वे में एग्जीक्यूट होता है. सो हाउ लॉन्ग इट विल टेक, that they will ask too. So it's kind of a call for a proposal practically, where all the commercial and technical aspects will be covered. So let us go ahead for the next topic, which is what is an RFI. So RFI is basically uh, a document used to obtain general information about the product, services or suppliers. It is an information request not binding on either the supplier or the purchaser, and is often used prior to specific requisitions for items. So request for information is quite a nascent document, I would say. वो beginning stage में कोई भी client अगर कोई requirement होता है, as example, let's say a company is deciding to build one power plant, let's say, or solar plant, let's say. तो इनके पास शायद एक लैंड होगा, शायद इनके पास एक बेसिक कॉन्सेप्ट होगा बेस्ड ऑन दी लैंड weather scenario or weather data, and that's it. Now they might ask the qualified businesses to send the information that what is their plan, their strategy, what they can do under what cost. But RFI, as I said, is practically the very lower level of inquiry, which or where the client is not sure whether they want to go ahead for the execution in the future or not. सो उनको इंफॉर्मेशंस चाहिए होता है. सो एक प्लान है या एक बेस है, उसको मेटेरियलाइज करने के लिए जो भी टोटल प्लानिंग चाहिए होगा वो इंफॉर्मेशंस गैदर करने के लिए आरएफआई बेसिकली होता है. इट विल बी अ समराइज्ड थिंग काइंड ऑफ, बट ये बहुत ही नेसेंट या बिगिनिंग स्टेज में होता है. अगर 5 proposals मिल जाता है एज एग्जाम्पल टू द client or to the utility, then they will go through, they will go through in detail, they will compare the proposals given by the contractors or vendors. They might come up with a proposal or solution by the client. I mean to say, मान के चलिए 5 proposals आ गया, अभी उसमें क्या टेक्निकल निटिग्रिटीज है या फाइनेंशियल निटिग्रिटीज है, उसको कंपेयर करके client will develop a thought process or a plan or a roadmap that how they can implement the project or purchases. They will do the planning, and फिर क्या होता है next stage में they are coming up with uh, an overall idea, and then they will ask the same quotations like based on the basic plan, a summarized version and more concise version where they can take the डिसीजन. सो ये एक्चुअली बहुत ही बेसिक स्टैंडर्ड में आरएफआईज फ्लोट किया जाता है टू गैदर मोर कलेक्शंस एंड मोर कॉन्सेप्ट्स एंड मोर आइडियाज, और फिर सेकेंड स्टेज में एक कंक्लूजन में आके उसको एक समराइज फॉर्म में लाके फिर दे आर रीनेगोशिएटिंग विद द companies who gave the initial proposal. So this is the RFI. Now let us go ahead to the next topic, which is a comparison. मैंने ऑलरेडी थोड़ा बहुत तो समझा दिया, फिर भी लेट अस चेक व्हाट आर द कंपैरिजंस बिटवीन RFI, RFP and RFQ. By the way, there are differences which are listed here. So first point is, when you are looking for an information and general inquiry, you float RFI. It's clear, मैंने already बोल दिया था. Whereas when you know the scope a bit, you are floating one RFP for the project. Whereas for the case of RFQ, when you know that you are ready to buy something, and specifically RFQ is more aligned or required towards the purchase of goods, by the way, not towards the services. But lately, as I said, RFQs are floated currently in the market for smaller projects kind of thing. So next point about RFI is, in the RFI, generally the client is trying to ask general questions about the market trends. They send inquiries to many companies to get the best possible concept and budget to decide the budget, in fact I should say. And then they are focusing on a short and quick evaluation. So क्योंकि ये बहुत ही नेसेंट स्टेज में है, तो इसका नेक्स्ट स्टेज तो जाना ही है, स्टेज 2 में तो जाना ही है. तो कॉन्सेप्ट रेडी करने के लिए इनको इंफॉर्मेशंस चाहिए होता है. दैट इज वेरी सिंपल कॉन्सेप्ट. एंड देन परचेजर इज नॉट नेसेसरीली कमिटेड टू बाइंग. डेफिनेटली जैसे मैंने समझा दिया, अगर कोई पर्टिकुलर आइडिया है और एक कॉस्ट, मेरे पास सपोज एक आइडिया है, मेरे पास एक budget भी है as example, but if I see that after getting multiple quotations my idea is not matching my budget, so what will be the option? Either I have to compromise or redesign, or I have to simply leave the project. So that is the thing. RFI में बहुत इन डिटेल में काम करने का कोई पॉइंट नहीं होता है for the vendors or contractors, because it will be in the nascent stage and it might take to develop and decide longer. So that is the concept. Whereas RFP, as I mentioned before, RFP में scope will be defined by the client or purchaser or business. They are asking the questions to addressing the clear cut needs. इसमें clearly define होता है specific definition के according इनको फाइनेंशियल टेक्निकल प्रपोजल्स चाहिए होता है इन शॉर्ट सेंड टू अ फ्यू कंपनीज और लिमिटेड कंपनीज एंड आरएफपी में डेफिनेटली अगर open RFP होगा so only they will set one qualification criteria and they will allow specific qualified vendors to come. अगर कोई भी आता है जो qualification meet नहीं होता है they will be rejected, their proposals will be rejected. But sometimes they also do source sort or you can say limited sourcing they follow, I mean to say the client follows to get the proposals from the qualified parties only. So that might also happen here, and they are focusing on the comparison purpose. They are focusing on specific vendors or contractors. इनका technical और कमर्शियल जो ऑफर्स होगा वो कंपेयर किया जाएगा आरएफपी के केस में फॉर श्योर एंड इट इज practically RFPs are called for professional services definitely for the businesses as we discussed. So they will ask in short according to the set standards to the specific vendors or the contractors to submit proposals, and they will compare technical and financial aspects separately, and they might select the best suitable party out of it. The client will select, I mean to say. So that is the concept of RFP. Coming to RFQ, इससे पहले भी मैंने बोला था कि it is generally getting floated to a set of qualified vendors mainly for buying the goods, and here the terms are very straightforward. क्या होता है या तो टर्म्स डिफाइन किया जाता है कि योर ऑफर शुड बी वैलिड फॉर 90 days 120 days 180 days, we'll be able to pay you on a monthly basis or like with a LC credit period, kind of like in 90 days 180 days you will get your payment, so you have to obey the rule, very clear cut. Or maybe they will ask for the in the quotation they will ask vendors to write down the proper or expected terms and conditions, and the client may compare the terms and conditions. But most of the cases they have a budget in mind and they have one payment term in mind too, with a specific scope, and that is for the supplies mainly, and it is definitely sent to a few companies whom the client knows and they are confident about. The focus will be on the pricing or the financial part कि जहां पे prices अच्छा होगा payment terms अच्छा होगा, they might go ahead because definitely if I know 5 companies who are qualifying, then there is no point in checking the technicals with some detailed analysis and all. We know the requirement, we know the specific parties who can do the job, so that's done. Focus will be on the pricing and decisions can be made, and generally specification criteria etc will be defined. And RFQ documents, by the way, are way shorter documents. Even RFQs can be sent over email with few attachments क्योंकि इसमें एक quotation ही चाहिए होता है with terms and conditions. Maybe some technical details might also be needed, and in some cases like in the case of the construction industry or say uh, as a whole, even for the infrastructure industry, so the technical submission requirements will be limited or client will ask their own design to be followed by the vendor. So इसमें बहुत ज़्यादा technical documentation heavy नहीं होगा, evaluation का time भी कम होता है with compared to RFP, and this is the overall concept of RFQ. That is the last slide, and here I think we are finishing this video. I hope आपको अच्छा लगा रहेगा मेरा channel explanations and all. If you feel good, then give a thumbs up here, like the channel, subscribe to it, follow this channel, and more videos will come, and I'll be discussing more topics further. Thank you. Bye.